Welcome everyone to Runtime Reverie. Today, live to you, not live, pre-recorded to you from Seoul, Korea.
Yeah.
Craig, did you miss the plane?
I missed the invite. What's wrong? You invited me while you're on the plane.
Oh no!
I don't think that was a real invite.
And today we have a guest speaker,
Oh yeah.
Mr. Vincent Lequang from San Francisco, joining us to tell us everything about whatever is happening in San Francisco.
Nice to meet you all.
It should actually be really
All
interesting.
Korea.
All Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, talking about what we did in Korea, that could be interesting too.
That could be interesting.
Yeah, especially yesterday. You guys remember?
I vaguely remember yesterday.
Oh, the music.
The music was interesting.
Oh, the huge
Tech stuff.
the huge mall. Oh yeah, the tech
The tech conference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is tech podcast, right?
we've learned what the future of tech is. They're like, like in Avatar, the robot things. Everyone was walking around on those.
Yeah,
Everyone
don't
was
tell me the
hologram.
ending. I'm still halfway through the story.
We actually did coincidentally go to a Future of Tech and Health conference here in Seoul.
Yeah.
It looked remarkably like today, to be honest, but it was interesting.
It wasn't too bad. There were a few things. So let's start off on that one. So, very, very inviting. They let a few random people off the street walk into their conference.
Yes.
And they had a few interesting things. I liked the sort of physical assist tech. So they have this thing that assists with lifting packages and supports your back.
Yeah.
It sort of felt like just having a little robot assistant on your body to help you move around.
They like those exoskeletons that sit on you.
Yeah. Genuinely, it was exactly like that, but they had built it with springs, so no batteries required. It was actually quite interesting.
Pretty sure that saw a guy that looked like that villain from Spider-Man there, but might have been wrong. The Octo guy.
Yeah.
And just to prove it to you, here's some random students here in Seoul, and random rainy morning with cars driving by.
All happening in Korea.
It's all happening. It's interesting. City of 26 million people, and it's only about 20% larger than Melbourne. So it's not that big, but it's very, very dense.
Very crowded. Like when we were going through, like there was a lot of people on the street, and you were telling me like, okay, in Australia, this could be empty, right? Like,
You catch the subway and you get triple your step count because the place is so huge.
Yeah, we were all like squeezed in the subway.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
to get from one gate to the other just takes. It's like you're walking several kilometers.
Yeah.
So it's fitness oriented.
What's that?
It's fitness oriented public transport.
Yeah. Everyone's quite lean here,
Yeah.
except the 3 tourists who keep eating amazing meals every day.
Yeah.
So Vincent and I used to work together at Microsoft a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he's here. He's heard about Runtime Reverie, and we said, "Hey, look, let's have a chat." He's had some interesting experiences lately, in particular with making some games.
Oh yeah.
And trying to optimize them to fit into a small byte count. I think there's some
13 kilobytes.
How much?
13 kilobytes.
13 kilobytes.
Yeah.
And what was the competition? What was it called?
GS 13K games. And so everybody is trying to make a JavaScript game. It also has to fit a team. The team is kind of like a game jam, so it has to fit a team. And the team this year was 13th century.
Oh.
So yeah,
13th century.
you have to figure out what happened in the 13th century.
I don't remember.
I don't know, but you can always research and stuff. And it has to fit into 13 kilobytes. Once you zip it up, the JavaScript file, the source code, everything, all the assets, the sound and everything has to fit into 13 kilobytes, and it cannot even access external anything. Yeah. So the whole experience has to be within those.
It's really impressive because I once made a React component that was a button that was 13 kilobytes. So
I was just thinking the last splash screen I had an image on it that was bigger.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that's brilliant. Brilliant.
Yes,
So were
that
these-
was the idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry, Vince. Was this the game that's on your website? Was it like there was a Mongolian one, or was
yeah.
there's
Oh,
Oh,
Mongolian.
yeah, it's exactly that. You've already played it.
yeah,
Yeah, that's one I shared on LinkedIn.
yeah.
And there's a lot of other games like about 160 or something, other games that made it through, and then a bunch of people like played their own little games and then made something that was really nuts.
Any honorable mentions? Any other games you remember that were really interesting?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. So there's one that really stuck up in my mind was because of the graphics. Some kind of game about Merlin, and he was moving around. So basically, it's like a puzzle game, and then you just move the elements around, and then you once you move the elements around, you click, and then Merlin tries to go through those elements. And there's a lot of traps. Most of them involving chess. So there was there's a how do you call that tower? The rook, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's a rook somewhere, and if Merlin passes in front of the rook, it's gonna get killed. So you can move pieces around, like a pawn. Okay, you move the pawn in front of the rook, and then you can pass. But you manipulate the elements around in order to let Merlin pass.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the concept is good, but what struck me was like the graphics and the animation of it.
So we
Yeah.
might be making a game here at some point. We might have a session tonight, or
Yeah.
we
Can't
started watching the
it
John Wick
couldn't
movies.
possibly take you that long. It's only 13K.
It's only 34
Yeah,
lines. We just
exactly.
write,
Yeah.
write
Yeah.
like 3 lines of JavaScript and
Yeah,
it should
exactly.
be about there.
Yeah,
Right?
There
npm
you go.
install. Oh shit.
What do you build this stuff in, Vincent? Like what do you do to build it? Like what's it like the development like? You know, like what do you code in? You know?
Such a good question. How
Oh,
do you
yeah.
actually do it? How is this even feasible?
How to do it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I'm on my side. I guess I just open the VS Code, and just starting writing JavaScript code. Then I just put them all into like the index.html file. Then I start a little local server so that I can open the the game and then just play it and then see if it works. For my particular entry though, I had to like compress the graphics a lot. So one of the things I did is like, okay, I cannot have a bitmap like that too crazy because it takes so much space. And I want to go do a little bit better than pixel art because I'm not very good at pixel art, and also I like the aesthetic of vector graphics. So I was deciding, okay, for this one I'm going to do vector graphics. So I looked up some online for horse animation, and I found this horse animation that dated from I think like a very old one, like 1920 something. I forgot,
Okay.
but that was basically
Mybridge,
my bridge.
Edward Mybridge.
Oh, maybe you might know
Wasn't
about
that
it.
The first
Yeah.
bit of television was actually the animation of a horse.
Yeah, the first
The
animation.
TV broadcast was an animated horse, right?
Something like that. Yeah, I know. Like it's like a very historic sprite sheet, basically, of the horse riding around. So I took that and put into like some kind of like editor that I kind of like designed myself, and then I just like trace it around the horse shape, so that like basically I can capture every single frame of the horse. So that ended up making into the game as that smooth animation that you see, like the horse riding around.
As literally still an image? Is it still an image asset?
So I took the image, and then after I trace it around, then it becomes a vector graphic.
Oh, you turned it into a vector.
Yeah, I did everything to vector by tracing around the horse by hand.
Yeah.
What sort of format is the vector? Is that like an SVG or something like that, or?
Sorry, what you
They
saying?
store SVG.
No, I didn't. Yeah, it became my own like custom format. I mean, I could have turned it into SVG, but I just made it like a bunch of
Oh, it's the third dog that we've seen.
Really?
Sorry.
Interesting anecdote
Yes,
about
absolutely.
South Korea. You don't see many pet dogs. We've seen 3 in many, many days.
Really?
Yeah, this is not very common. Apparently. We'll talk a bit about Korea and what we found here. I think there's been some really interesting aspects of the culture that we found out. We'll talk about that.
Yes.
Oh, we should be like the All-In guys. The other day, just in Seoul, I met beep, and then I did beep, and he gave me beep amount of money.
What?
Don't worry.
Yeah.
You don't watch the podcast.
Okay.
Hey, so how do you actually do something to your code? Do you use some sort of humidifier or compressing algorithm?
Yeah.
What do you do to the actual code to shrink it?
Okay, so there's 2 steps of minifying. One, I pass it through uglyfile.js,
Oh yeah.
and then that makes like one small JS file. But even that is actually not even enough. There's some other program that all the community is using called Road Roller,
Okay.
and that minifies even further before we can actually zip it and then submit it and make sure that it's 14K. So, but here's the thing. I don't know, for some reason, okay, the Uglify, that works fine. But the Road Roller, every time I run it through, it gives me a different file size. So, like basically, you know, like at the end of the completion, so I had my whole setup, Uglify, Road Roller, zip, and then it outputs the file. So I have one command to do the whole process. And I look at the file size at the end. And if it's like a lot of time it was above 13K, I kept running until I think it shrinks down.
Really?
Because for some reason, Road Roller makes it a little bit random. Yeah. So
I wonder who does that. It must have just a unique sort of compression algorithm that tries different things. I don't know.
Yeah, it probably renames function calls and things that down, and it just probably has a randomizer in that, and so luck of the draw.
I don't think you needed to rename function because through Uglify I already like shrink all the names into like one letter. That said, I don't know, if you look at the code itself, it does some weird stuff, and then you can see that there's like something eval and a bunch of crap.
Oh god.
yeah. So I mean, it's doing some kind of weird stuff. Yeah. By the way, when we make those videos, you guys have inserts because.
Right here we'll try and insert in some.
You can insert the code of look at the code resulting from.
We do a hard job of editing this podcast.
I have that with that.
Yeah, well, I think Vincent's offered to try and edit for us a bit. We'll see. We'll see if that works.
Oh,
apologies ahead of time if there's some unnecessary crap edited in. We don't know.
How did I was going to say, hang on. How did you get started doing this, Vincent? So you've gone from Microsoft, right? And then you decided, I'm going to make some games, right? And there's obviously some story in between.
Well, you've worked at Adobe. You've worked at some interesting places, I heard.
Microsoft, Adobe, virtual game companies, and then lately Amazon. Yeah.
But how'd you get into making these little games? What's the...
Well, I started even when I was in France a long time ago. Like when I grew up in France in high school, started making those games. And you know that World of Turtle game that I made? Yeah, that lasted. I started that like when I was very young, and I was starting with Quick Basic basically. So I made Quick Basic. Yeah.
Whoa.
So my first game was in Quick Basic. I made this little turtle game, and it was using ASCII art. It was very basic, but I found it was fun. You know, even had music. Like I was
thought the only game in Quick Basic was monkeys.bas.
Huh?
Yeah, when you got Quick Basic, like there was monkeys.bas that came distributed with it, which had like a monkey throwing bananas.
I don't know. Like it was a while ago, but I believe I actually bought the software because I wanted to make like learn how to make games, and then that's how I got into game making. And ever since, you know, like as I was going from company to companies, I always loved to make games on the side, and that was like really my passion. I mean, sometimes I was like very active, and then I was able to compile a bunch of games for game jams mainly. Some of the time I slow it down, but it was always in my mind.
Would you encourage young developers to get into it? Is it like an interesting technical exercise as well as being fun to play?
Dude, I think like they should definitely get into it. This like the one thing that got me into programming is games. I would have no reasons to do it otherwise.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, the thing about games, when you make a game, it's a little bit different from just engineering because you have to think about the graphics, the sound, and also how do you incorporate all of them together. And also you have to think about making it fun, which is another next level. So there's a lot of other things. Shit, I think
that's awesome. So one thing we did yesterday, Craig, we wanted to go to this conference because do you want to go take the call? Go take the call. This is all live. It's great. One thing we wanted to do was go to this conference and learn about what the innovation culture is like here in South Korea.
Yep.
Before we came, we had this, I guess, notion or view from what we've heard that there were many big corporations here that sort of controlled the economy and they stifled innovation, and nobody did any startups, nobody innovated, nobody created anything new. That's the impression we had, and we thought, hey, all the kids are just trying to get into big companies and be drones, right? We went to this conference. We spoke to a dozen different developers there. Many of them sort of recent university graduates from local universities. One of the kids I spoke to ended up living in New Zealand and in the US and then back in Korea now. And we didn't find that to be the case at all. There's a lot of interesting little startups here. And it turns out the government is supporting and encouraging startups in a pretty heavy way. So they were saying that the government funds like a co-working space for them to operate out of and encourages people to go start new businesses. It was quite interesting.
I would have imagined, though, just from my experience of working with some big companies and some small ones, that innovation doesn't happen in big companies the way you think it's supposed to happen. Like you're trying to take something which is really established, has a large market base, and has like small incremental improvements over a large area equals a big outcome. So you're looking for small things. Whereas when you're small, you're battling for survival and you've got to have that innovation to you as well. So I always found that the innovation came from the smaller companies rather than the larger ones. And
are you saying you go to the Telstra Innovation Center and you go, this isn't where the future's been created? Oh,
yeah, I can't say I've actually been there. Yeah,
100%, Craig. It's very hard for a big business to take risks often.
Well, you often have it's like the body attacking itself, like it won't want to take that much.
And sometimes take risks with its own existing business.
Yeah, it won't want to.
And that's some of the mistakes I've made in companies in the past, was trying to set up centers of innovation where you're trying to do something brave and extraordinary, but the rest of the organization is designed to eat that, right? And to smite that out. And it's absolute misery. Like if you're going to have some kind of innovation at a large company, you kind of need to sort of separate that and have it from a board level, have like an innovation fund, split that out into bets, and then almost operate them like separate companies and do it like a football season, right? Where only the winners get to go through to the next round. You kill off the ones that aren't performing the way you thought and redirect the funding into those. And then that will grow up independently. And then it's almost like an internal acquisition, of that thing to mold it in for the winners. But any other mechanism I haven't seen work.
Yeah. And, we hadn't, I suspect it's actually changed. So 10 years ago here, probably less of that type of innovation, and more big corporate. I mean, this has been the view of the various Asian countries for a long time, right? Like, for example, that there's a very traditional view that there's no innovation in Japan because no one takes risks. They have a very anti-risk culture, and I think
Japan?
very strongly. Yeah, and I think that may have been true. I can't speak for Japan, but I think that may have been true here. It certainly is not today, from what I've seen.
I don't know. Like for a while, I was thinking that Japan and then Korea, they really have like the most innovative tech, right?
Yeah,
They had like the first like small TVs, when people were just like still using like the.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a
long time ago. But then if you think about the top companies in the world, top tech companies in the world, how many of them come from Japan or Korea?
It's like Sony, Samsung,
Samsung.
LG.
I wouldn't have put
Sony.
Sony. And Samsung's probably the only one in there.
Nintendo.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
But even in the real world sort of things, like I remember when like Hyundai first came to Australia, and it only survived because it was a disposable car. It was so cheap, right? It was not good quality. It wasn't there to last, and you just go, it's just rubbish, right? I needed to buy a new car, and I had to put my name down, and I've got to wait a year for a Kia. They're that popular now because, and I can see why, right? You sit in them, and it's tech-loaded lounge room kind of thing. It's gone from something that's disposable to something that's desirable that people really want. And you don't get there by not being innovative and changing and adapting and improving quality all the way along.
Yeah,
for sure.
Still waiting for my car, though.
Man, I hope the sound is going to be okay because we keep having all those cars going around. And
we did a sound check. It should be okay.
Okay. Well, does this thing record sound separately?
No.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post. I'm sure it'll come through.
Because if it was like two different sound, like whenever there's a car that pass by, I can reduce the sound on one side and have Craig's sound like up.
I think you're volunteering to become our video editor.
Just for this video. Just for this video. Yeah.
If we survive to episode 20, I think we should step up our production game.
Yeah.
So if anyone's listening to this, let us know you're listening, and we'll try and get to episode 20.
Yeah.
I've got like a nice microphone, and then I just end up using my laptop microphone every time.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Okay, what else is on the ticket? Anything else happened in this last week? Any news? Anything interesting in the tech world or the business world or any game world? Interesting news? Other than the complete failure of the biggest game of the year.
Wow.
The biggest game?
Starfield
from Bethesda.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
It's a failure?
It is. I think it's a abysmal failure, and it's quite scary what's happening online because it seems like every Muppet who is paid to talk about the game is saying nothing but amazing, glowing reviews about the best game of the year.
Okay.
And every other individual saying this is not right. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what?
Because you know what's changed. The thing that's different now versus 2 years ago, we now have FromSoft that's released Elden Ring, taken over the world, showed us what a real RPG could look like. Dramatically different level. The standards have moved, and it's all thanks to FromSoft, right?
I need to play this game. There's what do you call it? The gaming cafes here.
Yeah.
And on the outside, they advertise which
NVIDIA
graphics card that they have. So there's like one that was like a something digits, and we're like, that one's no good. And then something else. Oh, that one. Oh, that's the that's the latest and greatest card, And then you go inside, and they're all playing like League of Legends, which requires like a card from 10 years ago.
Yeah, but they're doing their crypto mining on the latest card.
No.
That's dog number 4. Yeah.
Number 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if crypto's that big here. So,
I don't think we've dug in that far.
No.
I know, we haven't heard anything about that.
Admittedly, the majority of this trip has been about experiencing Korean food.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's by far been the focus, which I hands down best food on the planet. Amazing. Really, genuinely best food on the planet.
And every single meal we had, it was something different, completely different. We never had like a repeat so far, and we've had like how many meals? Like
many.
Well, from what I can see, the bagels are happy and delicious according to the sign behind you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bagels.
This place has amazing bagels. And they're actually making it right behind us, behind that window.
Yeah. Yeah, we can show later.
So, dude, next time you have to come with us on the trip. We'll make sure you get the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to be done.
Well, we've been hearing a lot from your side, but how about on yours, Craig? What's new in the?
I'm still doing work, man. Some of us have to work. Actually, we had a good philosophical chat this morning. We were talking about like what's that one thing you should strive for, like as a development team. And the one thing we came up with was pretty much just developer experience. Everything sort of flows from that, from like building apps. Hell yeah. And which is the absolute polar opposite of a Patrick universe.
That's a what's a zero? It's a interest rate, whatever you call it, phenomenon.
A ZERP phenomenon.
Yeah, it's developer experience has gone too far. I reckon.
What the hell does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Just the tooling of.
Yeah, it's the tooling, and then like the developers get pampered too, and then they go, "Oh,
I think you've got it wrong." Like, no. It's more about like so that you can actually focus on your work, so that the stuff that you're doing, like we're spending a lot of our time fighting build tools and all of those other things, and you just want them to get out of the way so you can focus on the product, right? And you need, like speed, right? So you want to do more iterative loops. So if you focus on actually getting the speed of the application up, you're generally focusing on trying to have less things, simplicity, right?
I bet those build tools advertised that they had great developer experience. Like what
definitely not what I'm working on at the moment. No.
Concrete it down, Craig. What's a specific example of something that was slow that you want to improve? What's a concrete example?
For example, our CI build system has like a loop speed to go from commit to going to green is at best case scenario 40 minutes.
14?
40.
40,
yeah. And there's a lot of builds and stuff that go on in there and trying to run things. And we've got some which has got hours, right? So we've got things where like we've got retry loops because, flaky tests, whereas my theory is if you got a flaky test, you probably got flaky code. And that's generally the right. So it will retry it. So it could take up to a couple hours for you to get your big red X and go, oh yeah, I forgot to include this. And so that sort of experience is not good, right? So you want to shift all that quality to the left as far as possible to get that feedback loop really tight.
Even if you build locally, it takes hours?
It takes a bit longer locally, actually. So, yeah, there's
that's
some...
why I like to, that's why I like to work with JavaScript, You don't really... It's like the build is not too long, you just...
Yeah, I forgot to tell you, Vincent, this is JavaScript based.
Oh, you build in JavaScript?
React Native?
Yeah, look, there's React Native, but we've also got backends that take that long as well. And, so really it's just, when you distill it all down, it's like the simplicity wins, complexity kills, right? All the way through, no matter what that is.
What's the build doing?
From unit tests, linting, clicky style tests on apps. So it's got to build those app images, download dependencies. There's just too much weight in what we've done. It doesn't fit under 13K. That's probably why it takes
get rid of that linting. Get rid of the lint. I reckon that stuff's just a waste of time. Get rid of that linting.
Well, linting is one of those things that's evolved really well. Like you've got some, like all the new frameworks that come out that have a great developer experience, just bake that in, all right? And you don't add your own.
They're a poor man's compiler. They're trying to create a compiler, like you use a Visual Studio or whatever.
You've got something like Deno ships with its own linter, and you just go Deno format and boom, it's done. Right, and it's fast, it's invisible. It's like ABS brakes. You don't need to know how it works or that it's there. It just does its thing. Next.js has its own linter, and it does its own thing, and that's good because all the projects in the whole world all look the same rather than just your one. But when people try and strive for those consistency across all your different projects in all your different areas and everything else, and then you got your own custom linter and everything else, it doesn't work.
But this is what the landing page says, and then it takes 40 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's also focusing on the wrong things, right? I don't want to focus on the linter. I just want to ship features and test and things like that. Things that don't take hours.
The best way to not focus on the linter is to stop linting.
Yeah.
Just get people to write good code.
Yeah.
Consistent code.
Oh no! See, I love my linter if it's set up properly, like in the project, and you don't edit it, right? You don't get stuck into the arguments about what rule is right or any sentence that starts with best practices.
No,
get rid of that.
that's
Just use something off the shelf. If you want to get involved in that, go out into the open source projects and have some fun.
Okay. Hot take, Pat. Tell us your view on linters being a crutch.
They're a really bad way of communicating, and they're a really bad way of enforcing rules. Because linters, because it's like your 10-pin bowling, and then people keep doing gutter balls, and you're like, okay, instead of teaching them how to bowl, let's put these gutter guards in. And then the developer goes, and like bounces off the side, and then like one pin goes down, and you're like, yay, linters.
Yeah, there's some different rules in those linters, right? There's like the style of rules which say like the worst one is like exhaustive dependencies in React. You know, those hook ones. That always drives me nuts, right? Where it's actually trying to teach you to code. I was like, so if you have like a use effect and you've got like an empty dependency array or something's missing, and it will tell you to do something that actually makes the code not work anymore.
No, half that shit's so badly implemented. Like I just saw a conversation recently on Twitter where they used that linter rule for use effect, and then it led them down the wrong path because it's a poor man's compiler.
Yeah, that one's bad, right? So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's the ones that are trying to tell you what to do, and then there's others where it just takes away the drudgery as well, like formatting, layout, sorting imports, and you hit save, and your code just looks pretty. You know, I do.
Well, so you're talking about just essentially formatting style.
Formatting.
I say use them out of the box as they are. Don't customize them.
Yeah, but linters are just
formatting is fantastic. Yeah, format on save, great tool.
Go format.
Well, are you against like the linter, the way it's implemented right now, or the concept of it?
Just it never, in my experience, it never quite works because you're like, there's the bad parts of JavaScript. We don't want developers to use those parts. And then you're like, how can we stop people from using them? Oh, we could teach them, but let's just have a tool yell at them and not tell them what to do.
Then that tool teaches you.
No, it doesn't. It just says this feature is banned. And then you're like, okay, I'll try a different feature. And then sometimes they'll do like syntax, like craziness that the linter can't pick up, and that will pass.
But I think, maybe one, like deprecating some package or things like that. That's one part of LinkedIn, but the other part is really like encouraging developers to write in a standard style so that everybody write in the same like.
I think you can take formatting off the table.
Yeah,
if you're talking about formatting, just like how a code looks, where the spaces are, where the new lines are, take that off the table.
Yeah.
Every team should just agree on their formatting style, set up tooling to just automatically do that for you.
Okay, so that's a good part.
No one's contesting that.
You can automate that.
Hang on a second. You do have a flaw though, and that your flaw is, the team should just agree to the format style and move on. You go, have you ever tried to get a team to agree to a format style? It's nearly impossible. Everyone's got their opinions and everyone thinks they're smarter than everyone else. You just should use something off the shelf and be done with it.
But say if there was like someone that says, I really like with arrays, like you shouldn't use for loops. You should use .map and .for each and whatever filter. And like some crazy person said, I think the map and filter are better, so add a linting rule to ban for loops. Like that's
but my theory is you should use it off the shelf and not customize it. So if said they wanted to add that rule, go, nah, I'm out.
All the off-the-shelf stuff is terrible. All the off-the-shelf stuff is from big companies that are trying to standardize for standard crap, And the Airbnb stuff is like the worst.
Yeah. And there's so many of them, right? But choose one, right? That's the decision, right? And if you want to, oh well, okay, Patrick, are we going with no linting then?
Yeah, no linting. Get rid of it.
I love it. We'll take Patrick's.
Yeah, you're out. You're out, Patrick. You're off the team.
He's out.
No linting.
Hey, let's go no compilers. Let's just go straight to
But
assembly.
did linters exist at Microsoft 20 years ago?
Yeah, so I have a sort of middle of the road view. I think it should be every team that should decide on their rules. I don't think they should do industry standards, but they should do something. And whether you use linting or not, I think it's up to the person. I wouldn't even enforce it.
Yeah.
But I'd say, hey, if you check in code that doesn't conform to the team, whatever the team's decided, whether it's this standard off-the-shelf thing or this way of doing loops, if you check in code that doesn't conform, that's your bad. Go fix it.
And it's fine to check in code that's not that that's not great. That's the thing that annoys me about PR reviews is that let's do these PR reviews. We need to review everything, and then all the review comments are just like nitpicky, meaningless. Like the code still runs, the computer doesn't care, and then it's like just the code. You can change the code. It's mutable. But people get so hung up on oh no, the commit did the wrong thing.
Well, if you have LinkedIn, you can start ahead of time. So when it comes to PR,
but all that stuff's useless, waste of crap.
If you guys we can change the subject now to talk about whether we should use spaces or tabs.
Yeah.
What the hell?
For the next hour, we can debate whether we should use spaces or tabs.
Well, I'll go one better, and that's most of PR reviews are worthless.
Worthless?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys agree about that?
Yeah.
What do you think is the best type of review? That's literally a setup right there.
I still think you should be pushing your quality more earlier in the process, right? So you should be pairing with someone along the way, have all your ideas contested, rather than you thinking about it, working on it on your own, coming up with and go, here's my PR, and then trying to explain it to someone at the end. You're just trying to tack quality onto the end of that process. It should be paired along the way and have those ideas contested all through it. It feels, people always think it's slower, but it actually ends up faster in the long run, right?
I think also you should get the senior people with a lot of experience just to sit down and go through the code base, and then they'll find they didn't write this class very well, or this stuff's coupled, or this blah blah blah, and then bring that stuff up, and then talk to the team about it, and then go, okay, I've looked at this thing, this code kind of smells. And this sprint, I want us to, I've got some ideas on how to design it better. Look like maybe you struggled to find a good design. I'll pair with you even.
Or, hey, we're going to run a brown bag. I'm going to teach you about this and this and this.
Exactly.
Why don't you guys go think about how you did it in your code?
Exactly. Yeah. That's because then that stuff's permanent because you've changed the person's mind.
You've taught them something.
Whereas if you just got this try to automate that stuff, it's never going to catch that stuff.
Everyone's different, right? And everyone's got different levels of skill and different ways of approach things, and it's not as black and white as people think. You can do things two ways and both be right. And so how many times have you gone back, you looked at code and you go, what idiot wrote that? And on Git blame, and you go, oh, that was me. Right? You personally change your own opinions as you go through, and you evolve as you do those things. As you said, code's mutable. You go back and you fix those things, but you want to share that knowledge with others too. So how do you do that best? It's not through PR reviews. It's pairing.
Yeah, it's just so off. The PR review, someone will write this code, and then it'll be stopped from being merged for weeks on end because it's no, the code's not quite right because someone got a bit anal and oh no, it has to be perfect. It's
you've got to have at least three people from code owners in to approve your PR.
Do you think coding co-pilots will change all that? Because you're going to have this AI co-pilot doing the pairing for you and providing the review. Do you think that's going to happen?
I don't use them, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I haven't got a lot of benefit from the co-pilot stuff. I have for writing the idiot tests. If I pass in null, do I get X result? Or why? It's good at doing those sort of formatty things, and that saves me a bit of time. But especially if you're trying to resurrect a bad code base, and if it's trained on those code, and it's going, hey, this is just like this section over here, and it'll start giving you that template, which is what humans do anyway. There's a lot of cut and paste and of prior art and just doing it again. So you end up with something bad just everywhere and going through, which is sometimes how linters can actually help a little bit. But no, it hasn't helped me as much as I hope for.
Hey, so you guys are all talking about like all the nitpicky stuff, right? Like, like missing semicolon, missing like little stuff, or like style issues. Yeah, wouldn't you like some kind of automated thing to just tell you every time there's like something wrong with that?
No, because you're hiring. Say you hire a developer. This is pull a number out.
Pay money instead of
they cost $100 per hour.
Yeah.
And then so that person's going to work on something for like 2 days, and they create this PR, and then they're blocked from merging. Like that whole time that they're blocked. It's just waste of money. Like it's just and then it's just.
They block because of what? Like because somebody needs to look at it?
Here's a question for you. This is interesting. Yeah, so in many companies, then there might be a process where just once you finish your change, it might take a week or two before that gets merged into the branch.
Yeah, it takes
the
while.
reason I think that happens is that because this merge is this like golden point, is because sprints. People are so focused on what's the next feature that we're going to build. We're going to build this. What are you going back and refactoring that code for? We're working on the next feature. So whereas I find when I work on my own stuff, I'll go back and look at the code I wrote last week and go, I think I had a better idea of how to structure this now. Yeah. But if you on a team and you do that, it's your hand is slapped and said, what are you doing? This is a waste of time.
What happens in Amazon? You were there. I'm very curious. Once you've written the change, you've got things there. How long does it take to get that merged in? Straight away?
So yes, we're telling like a week or two. If that happens, then it's not very good, like then we need to improve process. A day or two, that's okay. So that's like kind of try to it doesn't always happen, but we strive towards like getting as short as possible. The same day, a day or two, that's kind of okay. A week, no, like if it keeps going like a week, then you would really need to work the process because like I agree, that's not like a reasonable way to work.
I can't remember what I did 2 days ago, let alone a week ago, half the time. So it's terrible for that sort of scenario. But my theory is going all the way back. Developer experience is the thing that goes right? So if Patrick really loves like certain tools and I don't, we don't want to choose something or enforce something that makes that his experience worse than mine, right? Long as I'm really productive and he's really productive his way, we should be able to ship it. And to me, the core things are, if we're both being blocked for 40 minutes on a build, we probably should try a way to shrink that down as much as possible, or to get our feedback faster and ship things faster.
Yeah, so we're talking about the length of the build right now, like just like compiling stuff, right? Yeah, so that's one of the things I mentioned about JavaScript. Like, I didn't mean like building JavaScript with all the crap along, but when I was working on games, like I could just like input something and it's in JavaScript. Doesn't need to be compiled. It's up on the, like I just refresh the page and the change is there already. So I don't know. That's kind of like my experience.
Which is a good developer experience, right? That's kind of what you want to do.
It's pretty much the best.
You want to always shrink the feedback loop.
Yeah. But lately, I've been using a little bit more of TypeScript, which does require like transpiling, compiling, and also React. So that has been slowing down quite a bit. But then I discovered like something new like Bun.js, and that thing seems to accelerate things. Like it makes things a heck of a lot faster in terms of building. So I don't know. That's been like
what is it?
Bun.js is the goal is to be kind of like the replacement for Node.js.
Oh, okay.
But it's also incorporates built-in TypeScript understanding, I guess. This kind of TypeScript, React. It has a built-in bundle. Basically, like instead of having a bunch of like different JavaScript, it's in one bundle.
And
that's why it's called Bun, I guess.
And heavily optimized.
Yeah,
we'll have to share a link after it.
And the experience of actually using those is just so much better, right? Because you're not like you start a little node project and you go, I've got to get transpilation of TypeScript in there, cool. And then people go, I've got an old Webpack bundle. Oh, great. And, you hit save and then it's got to redo all those things. But like we did one with Deno, which is, like Bun in many respects and aims for the same sort of market. It loads in a millisecond, right?
Yeah.
It's there. You hit save, and you can't flick back to your terminal to watch it reload or refresh. It's just done. It's such a beautiful experience to have that sort of feedback loop. Just iterate, and then you're just focusing on the problem and back on, what you're making your thing for. I mean, it's really hard to sort of focus on and go, am I giving this person a good experience of using my app or whatever it is I'm making, when you're just waiting for the compiler to work.
Oh, wait.
So
Rap?
that's,
Wait.
yeah.
To play the music.
Well, okay, we
yeah.
might have some outro music this time round, which Vincent might play for us.
Yeah, thank
Wait,
you.
Are you gonna play it now?
Well, I think I need to get it out of my No, just talk about something more because I need to.
Yeah, what else can we talk about?
We'll if we get organized, we'll all have some outro music, and we're gonna hear it for the first time now.
So Vincent's very good at. I haven't actually played any of his games yet, but apparently he's very talented at the music. And then the graphics are a little crude, but the music
What?
kills.
What you say about the graphics?
He's lucky. I have no talent whatsoever. I remember when I was a kid, my mum took me to piano lessons, and the piano teacher said, "Take him away. His talents lie elsewhere."
We saw some amazing piano players last night. We went to this bar. Min found it, and it's literally a hole in the ground. So we'd been there the previous night, so we're familiar with it. There's this amazing music coming through the floor, and they've cut out this triangle, and you can look over the edge, and there's a band in there.
There's a really, really interesting and vibrant music scene here in Seoul, and that's great. So in addition to great movies, great TV shows, great phones, great food, they apparently have good music too. Well, I don't know. We're going to try and play it, or are we going to give up and try and do the outro at the end? This might be a bit nuts. Do you have to run, Craig?
Yeah, you'll have to get back into the work shortly.
Yeah. We won't keep you much longer. I think we may have lost Vin there.
He's attracted to food.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do have something that you should have taken with you.
Yeah, what's that?
You should have taken one of these little guys, right?
What is it?
If you're just listening, it's not going to help too much.
What are you holding? Describe it.
Fold in your pocket, right? Unfolds. This is a Joby Grip Type 1, right? It's a little tripod for your phone.
Oh, cool.
Right? So it actually so it folds up Transformer style, right? Down, folds up, right? And then that just slides into your pocket. So if you can see the size of it, it's, smaller
Very
than my
small.
hand, but when it actually goes on your phone, it's actually really good. So, next time, go travel, take a tripod for your phone.
Yeah, if there's anyone's got any idea of where we should travel to next, we apparently Runtime Reverie has a $0 budget for editing and stuff like that. We've got a large travel budget, so we might go to another country.
Okay, we're going to listen to this thing right now.
Yeah.
Let's go. We're going to do the outro, and thanks everyone for joining us.